applause for our beautiful panel class. Right, let's just get straight into it. You know, being part of a Marvel game and taking on these big characters that have communities and fans around them. You know, when you become an actor, you're not going in and going, right, you're going in to play a role, a character. But do you think being part of the community is just as important now for you guys, particularly, as well as the acting and the creativity? Let's start over here.
I was just going to say a big yes. Definitely a yes. Being part of the community is everything. And also, not just the community and like connection between us and you. I've also found that community here has been very nurturing for myself. So, and it makes it so much more fun being able to connect with you now in person, one by one. So thank you so much for coming and joining us and seeing us in person.
I play one of my favorite characters of all time. Psylocke is incredible. My God, I love her. James, when you took on this role, my God, Black Panther, what a role. Were you a little bit nervous to step into those shoes? Did you feel a little bit of apprehension?
No.
Good. I like to hear.
No, I'm an actor, and what I saw before me was a really juicy part. It was a character who was very challenged. He was a family man. He had high moral character, and those things resonated with me. For all the kids who didn't have a favorite superhero yet, that's who I wanted their favorite superhero to be. So that's what I went with. I wasn't nervous, I embraced it.
Good. And is there anything that you learned about that role from speaking to the community that you didn't really kind of think about before, just coming to it as an actor?
Yes, well, not that I didn't think about it before, but there's a vast underserved community. And so I took the mantle, and I knew that they needed to see someone who could be a role model for them. Not somebody who, was shucking and jiving and dancing, cracking jokes all the time. No, someone who you can listen to, who's got great advice, who makes good decisions. That's who I wanted to be.
And speaking of great advice and good decisions, let's talk about Winter Soldier. I love him, what a character. I've interviewed Sebastian Stan several times, and he is a fantastic actor, and he's so great. When you were coming to Winter Soldier as an actor, do you look at that and go, hey, I'm going to just play this on my own, I'm going to read the comics, look at the source material on my own, or do you look at the other performances as well?
That's a great question. Can you hear me? Yeah, that's a good question because when I got the role, I was like, it's gonna be Winter Soldier. Okay, and of course, I'm a big fan of comic books and superhero movies. And of course, I knew who Sebastian Stan was. And so yes, there was definitely a consideration because the character has already been established and instantiated by a fantastic actor. But at the same time, if they wanted Sebastian, they should have gotten him. And I knew that I was going to bring whatever it is that I bring. So that's how I have to approach every audition anyways. What do I bring? What is it that makes my voice and my psychology, my background unique? And in this case, I got lucky that they chose me to do the voice.
If you could meet Sebastian Stan, or let's just manifest it, when you meet Sebastian Stan finally, is there something you would ask him about the character? What would you ask him?
First of all, I'd ask him, do you know what chat is? And the second, I'd say, let's have an again. Again! No, but I would actually ask him, because I really do think he is a really high caliber actor. And I do have so much respect for him, all the different roles he's played. I would love to just talk to him about what's your process? How do you approach a character? I know he's Romanian, and I have some Romanian friends, and we talk about it. I'm a huge Dracula fan, and there's always that veil in the background of how much of that lore goes into the kind of the darkness and the macabre that he has in his background. I just think
I
it's
also
a really
really enjoy
cool-
your lettuce. Thank you.
Yes, I just would love to talk to him about his process. I think he's a fantastic actor.
Really, really is. And the hair, oh my god, the hair.
Who doesn't want his hair?
The hair is so fantastic, the floppy
Must be
hair.
nice.
Love it. sorry, no more hair, no hair shaving, no hair shaving. Daniel, I was watching an interview where you said, and you mentioned this at the start as well, about the community that you have formed together. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how you as actors have come together?
Yeah. It's interesting because normally, as voice actors, we don't interact with each other. We're in the booth by ourselves. We go home. We never see each other. And most of the games, you do them, and then you never do anything with it again. It's over. With this one in particular, we get to go back and record new lines whenever there's interactions with stuff. But this group in particular, we've become good friends. Eli and I have become like best buds. We also stream together. We play the game every night, and so we've become like really good friends. And when I met Alpha, we met at another convention. I was petrified because Psylocke is so scary. And she comes up to me with the sweetest voice, like a tiny little mouse. And I was just blown away by her talent, where she could just drop into this scary character. And I told her, I was like, I'm a big fan of yours. And now we've become really good friends. And I got to meet James here this weekend, and John and I have done a couple of things together as well. And we've just become really good, like close friends now. I think it's rare. I don't know anybody else in any other job I've ever done. And definitely not this close. So I think the community that we've come together, we just did 3 videos out there that we're going to post on social media just for fun. And that's a rarity, and it's really exciting for me to do that.
I think if you're working in any creative, especially as performers, when you're working in a creative industry, you need community. And when people get up and ask, how do I become an actor, a voice actor? The lovely actors I speak to always say, find your community, go to classes, find community. Would you say that's still true? Social media is social media, and it's great to make content, John, but would you agree that getting out there is the best way to do it?
Well, I'm on the spectrum, so there's always been a community for me. Because there's a lot of us here. So I kind of see patterns, not like Russell Crowe Beautiful Mind kind of thing, but I noticed the importance of it way before a lot of other people. That's actually how I noticed that Daniel and I were like-minded, because he was the only other one I saw out there that was actively just going basically door to door in streams and saying, surprise, it's us. Thank you so much for playing our game. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for streaming. Thank you for watching people play the game. Thank you for playing our characters and all the avatars. I don't know about you guys, but there's literally 3D avatars of Jeff creatures with their VR people playing the game. That's freaking crazy. And you either love the character or hate the character. That's the first character I've actually had where they didn't just hate him or just love him. I think that kind of makes him perfect, because he's he's like Thanos.
Perfectly balanced, as if all things should be balanced.
But the importance of the community is that this came straight from the creators of the game. The main guy at NetEase told me this himself over the phone, is that we want to make the absolute best game. We want everybody to love this game. They actually really do care. And this is the first time in 20 years I've been at this job, and I got dozens of game credits. And a lot of them people don't even realize, because I'm not the main character in the thing. But this is the first time I've ever worked with a game company that cared this much about making the game that you want to play. They actively listen to you. They want you to enjoy the game as much as they enjoy making the game. And he loves the idea that there's such a huge roster of characters, because Marvel's just got an infinite toy box to play with. And all these new worlds and a new art style, everything's just so cool. I mean, it just blew up. The comic books just, it gives a chance for people to find out about people like Jeff. And it doesn't work without the entire community working together and getting out there. So if there's a room for everyone in the community in somewhere, even if you're shy and you don't want to stream, those are people in the comments just supporting and just saying hi or just watching. Everybody works to the betterment of the game succeeding and bleeding out into hopefully other stuff.
There's something really special. I do a lot of different conventions. Sometimes I interview people that are movies, sometimes TV, a lot of video games. There's something very special about the gaming community, genuinely. People like yourselves out here spend hours with those characters. Do you feel that as well, like when they spend hours with the characters as opposed to spending like maybe a couple of hours on film? What is it that just makes it special? Alpha, we'll start with you and go down the line.
I feel like I've spent more hours with the other characters, which is funny. I play Psylocke, but I watch everyone playing different characters. I play Namor. I watch him play Namor. I watch him play Winter Soldier, and I watch all these other people play different characters, and they're so invested. They have become the character. They know them so well, and it's to a point where they tell me about it. Other people come and tell me about my character, and I find it fascinating. It's so wonderful. And I love each and every time when someone sends me a fan art, it gives me a new perspective about my character, Psylocke. It's like, oh, I just learned something about someone who I've been playing, and it fascinates me. So I'm just really thankful and grateful for that learning experience as well. Every day, new things.
James, was there a character that you grew up with that had that feeling that Alpha's talking about, where you'd spend lots of time watching the character, loving the character? Did you have a character like that growing up that you watched?
No.
No.
I didn't. I watched a lot of sports growing up. So my heroes weren't necessarily scripted by someone or drawn by someone. They were sculpted by some weight or some exercise routine. So those were my heroes. And the story of life, right? The highs and lows are in sports as well as in narrative art and games. So that was where I got my inspiration, I guess.
And Elia, you said you read the comics. You're a big nerd.
The comics are what saved me.
Really?
I was not a good student, and I could not read very well. And it's the kind of brain I have. It's ADD or dyslexic or whatever. There's never been proper diagnosis, but it's something. And I was so bad at school. I felt so bad about myself, and it was comics that gave me that portal into story and character, and became that bridge that I was able to then understand these things and be available to wisdom through like the comic books, this pantheon of mythology. Here's a character that went through hardship, and through that hardship they became a better version of themselves, and now they have to go do something about it, but that also comes with adversity. And it was lost to me before then. So being part of this has brought me back to my childhood in a way that connects me back. Just being in comic book stores or surrounded by the smell, it brings me back, and it revitalizes me in a way that makes me feel like the little boy who not only fell in love with comic books, but was saved by them.
Yes. Because not everything is a linear path. When I was growing up, which was many months ago, I wanted to be a comic book artist. And I went to my careers advisor, and she went, "Have you thought about law?" And I was like, "What? I play guitar."
You thought about being a janitor instead.
I play guitar and I draw things. Well, you know what? I think you guys do it through through acting, through meeting people. Is you get to meet the community and show them that there's another path, there's another way. Do you feel that, Daniel, that there's a responsibility, I guess, on your shoulders a little bit to show people that there's another path here for them?
I mean, yes, of course. I mean, before this game, I was in the audience. I'm a fan myself, and a fan first. So to now get to be a superhero in a game, as a gamer myself and a superhero nerd, like, this is a dream come true. And I want to cuss so bad right now because I'm so excited. But being able to do this is just such a privilege. And the responsibility to me comes with, like, Namor wasn't a character that was very well known, and the people that do know him know everything about him. And I was like, I don't know as much as I would like to, so I started reading every comic book. I think I spent like $200 here on Namor comics because I just want to devour them and I want to read them, and I started really enjoying him. And I want to be able to have conversations with people who are like, "Oh, do you remember that time when Namor did this?" I'm like, "Yeah, but did you know this?" And now it's like I'm in love with this. So the responsibility is in, like, making sure that I'm giving the fans like myself something that they can be like, yeah, that's right. That's, you know, because could you imagine if I got cast as Spider-Man? I'd be awful. People would be like, that's not Spidey. That's not what he does. That's not what he sounds. And I'd be like,
You'd be a menace.
Exactly. So you know, I'm very lucky that there wasn't like a Namor template to go off of, other than in the MCU movie. And so I got really lucky that I got to create something. And now the responsibility is to make sure that that stays lore accurate and, you know, all these things. So yeah.
I like
You didn't base it on Mr. Nimbus?
John, like Daniel just said, he spent like $200 just on things here. What do you spend your money on when you come to conventions?
I don't. I'm a budget little. I take a minimum space. I like to clean. I like to leave the place cleaner than when I found it. I would go back to the inspirational thing about what I grew up with that inspired me.
Yeah.
And it's funny because originally it was Marvel. Transformers was always my jam, and it was the voice of Optimus Prime that like made me want to be a voice actor. But I didn't even know that was a job. Back then they didn't even credit who did what voices. So. But by the time I got to be a teenager, I just learned everything that I could. But Transformers just kind of stuck with me. And it really ended up being a full circle thing, because like you, I started on that side. I was staff at convention, I hosted panels, I was a liaison for guests, I was in the audience or whatever, and then eventually I was a guest on the panel a little bit, you know, because I'd done some professional work, so I started being the one that did what you do, knowing what to ask, you know, voice actors for stuff. And then eventually, now I'm on this side of things. So I kind of got a full 360-degree perspective of all of it. And but the Transformers thing was like something that really freaking, it really worked for me. I guess part of it has to be on the spectrum, because it's a puzzle and it's a 3 toys in one, and the colors and everything just kind of worked together. But to go from that to being like, I'm like, I think number 11 like of Optimus Prime, and now like over 100 Transformers, and then that just kind of reached out into Marvel, and then slowly things happened from Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite to Marvel Snap, and being, you know, the snap and the collector's voice, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we want you to be in What If season 2, and then all of a sudden it's like this other thing comes up, and then they have me being Deadpool and D23 and other stuff. And it's like, oh, and then it's like the go-to guy, and then they need me to do Rocket Raccoon for the, and all of a sudden, here's a character that nobody has ever heard of, or very few people had heard of. So I'm always like the guy who just like helps create the thing. Like on Star Wars stuff, I'll be like the guy who fills in for the guy. But it's neat to work with the process, because I love the process.
Yeah.
Disney Imagineering, that's just really cool for me as a nerd and as a fan. So it's less about like, oh, I'm the voice of the thing and thing. I help create the thing. But now it's like I get to introduce this thing to a lot of people. And unlike your character, where everybody's like, oh, did you know this? I'm like preaching the gospel of Jeff to people, because so many people know. Nobody knows his tragic tale. They only know this cute little shark that they took the comic book version and they stitched him Lilo and Stitch style. They added all those Lilo and Stitch figures, which I didn't even figure out until I sat next to the animator for Lilo and Stitch last weekend. I'm like, wait a minute, Disney borrowed them themselves. How dare they? He didn't have that pink collar and that gold chain before. And but his like tragic backstory, and seeing their faces when they're like, what? I never knew that MODOK made Jeff and that he was abandoned twice. Anyway, it's really cool to go full circle from the stuff that you guys like. That was what I liked, and it planted that seed of something that became my whole job. And I think that it's the best feeling in the world to be able to do what you love for a living and actually be really great at it. You just find your spot. You're like you find that missing puzzle piece in your life that fits and everything works.
You feel like you're home.
Yeah.
This is what I was always meant
Yeah,
to
you're
do.
just like, you feel like this is what I was designed to do.
Yes.
This is the thing I can do and I can explain to people.
Completely useless in the apocalypse.
Exactly. We can entertain ourselves out of our situations.
Let's be clear.
If we all end up in
Our level of apocalypse to ambulance. Level of apocalypse.
Exactly.
But you give me a guitar, I can be the bard. It's okay. Like, I can play a smelly cat.
If we existed in the 1600s, we all would have been burned at the stakes. They do different voices.
We should do a Marvel's D&D session. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Matt Mercer already stole my idea a long time ago.
Before we get to fan questions, because I'm sure a few of you have some questions, so have a wee think right now, and I'll come out of the audience. I was thinking this the other week. I was interviewing David Tennant a couple of weeks ago in London.
Doctor Who?
Yes. Doctor, what? And I look. Sometimes I look out at the crowd. There's been a few times where I've done this. I look out at the crowd and there's thousands of little heads. And I did this when I interviewed Tom Hiddleston as well. There's 5,000 little heads. for me, and I disassociate a little bit, and I go, oh my god, this is my weird job. Have you ever had that where you go, oh my god, this is a strange, weird job. Have you ever disassociated, I guess?
Yeah. Oh.
I was at Target the other day, and I was just checking out, and some guy looks at me and goes, "You're Namor." And I was like, "How? How would you even know that?" He's like, "I see your stream and your videos," and I was like, "That is crazy." Like, it's gotten to it's really neat, and cool, but like, I'm checking out, buying, you know, like, I don't know, medicine for my kid or something, and like that was like really like, whoa, this is a new level of that's weird, but also
It's so surreal.
You started, I was in Target, like, I think we've all disassociated in Target.
100%.
That's why we go to Target, to disassociate.
From
all the
there, disassociating in my joggers. Where am I? Who am I? What about you guys? Have you ever had that moment of like, oh my god, this is a thing that's happening?
I feel like every single day when I go on the internet. It's like, okay, so before Marvel Rivals, I get a phone call from my agent saying, okay, Alpha, are you ready? I'm like, no, for what? He's like, your game's releasing. I'm like, okay, when? And he's like, it's December, clean up your social. Okay, you need?
What was on it?
It was all pink and dogs. Like no, I don't put my face on it because I go to my page. Why do I want to see my own face? Like, no, I had like flowers and dogs, and my agent's like, no.
What's unclean about flowers and dogs? I'm not seeing a problem there.
Right? Okay, you're on my team. Thank you.
New agent.
But like now I open it and I'm like, okay, so many notifications. I close it again. But just to see the amount of love, just love for the character, just love for the game. It's sometimes where it's like overwhelming and I can't process. But I think that's where I find like comfort here for support system within the team. I mean, like I'm really fortunate that these guys are local and like within region, like or within phone calls, I'd be like, hi, help. So it's been like strange, but very in a lovely way. Thanks,
What about you, James? Have you had those moments where you've gone, oh, holy shit?
It would have to be at conventions or expos where we get to meet the people who appreciate our work, because otherwise we're just speaking into a void. And I think it becomes realized when we meet someone who says, hey, I heard that thing you did, or I saw that thing you did, and here's how I feel about it. You know, and thankfully I've had the occasion to receive positive feedback. So those moments have been rewarding moments of validation.
We're just going to Target. You want to be validated?
See, Black people, we boycott Target right now.
Oh yeah, you can't.
We're not
Don't go
in
to
Target.
Target.
We're not in Target.
Yeah, they don't validate it very well.
We're not in
It's
Target.
validation.
Okay, just stand outside.
You know, we're cool on Target.
I was at a different store. It wasn't Target.
Yes, no, this was many moons ago.
It was at a
Target far,
Kmart.
far away. Alaya, what about you?
It's definitely, in fact, Daniel and I's origin story of becoming pals was when, as he does, he take his kids every Sunday to get donuts. And we had just kind of met because we're in the game and we're sort of, had never met him before. We knew each other by proxy through Jordan Reynolds, who we're also pals with, stream with.
Adam
He's the
Warlock.
voice of Adam Warlock.
Married to
And
Storm.
Daddy Warlock. Married to Storm, yeah, married, So we're like, he sends me a picture of Charmed and Dangerous that Danny Trejo's Donuts had in Hollywood. And we're like, oh, God, this is crazy. This wag made it all the way to Danny Trejo's Donuts. And I'm like, we got to do something. So I call him and I'm like, so, hey, you got any more of those Charmed and Dangerous Donuts? And they're like, no, that was just a St. Patrick's Day thing. It's like, oh, okay. I guess that's all I got. He's like, wait. Are you? Well, yeah, yes. He's like, oh, dude, I'm a big fan. I'm like, who do you mean? He's like, Venom. He's like, well, okay. I was like, well, I heard about the donut, and I was like, maybe we could come in and do a little skit, because I talked to the guys. I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, oh. He's like, I'm the guy who makes the donuts. I'm like, oh, great. Could you make a green donut? And a golden donut? He was the donut lord. So he's like, yeah, I can do that. So I was like, oh, guys, we gotta do it. So, we met down there. That's when I met Daniel, and I was getting ready. I was getting ready to like do a little behind the scenes stuff. He's like, Elia! And instantly I was like, this guy is so cool, he's so nice, I love him already. And just through the course of hanging out and making videos and then becoming, actually friends, and by extension Alpha, and like everybody's so great. This ties into the community thing where the community is awesome, but then because in the live stream, we have attracted this magnificent, marvelous community of people who, because there's trolls out there, there's haters, there's people that, every game has that. And this, in our community, blessed be, we've attracted this really wonderful community of people. But I'll end on this. The really weird meta thing was when Sebastian Stan was saying the lines. And people, my friends freaked out. They're like, there's no way that it made it all the way up the chain there. And it really sat me down. It sat me back. And this huge cloud of humility floated over me to realize how lucky I am to be a part of this, and in whatever capacity I'm able to serve it and be a servant to the story via Bucky's character, and to just ride this wave with these amazing people.
This is just really quick. The other day, like 3 months ago, I was in the living room and I was looking at my baby monitor, and my 2.5-year-old daughter is in a room playing by herself, and I just hear her say, "Oh, she's protect me." And I was like, what? My 2.5-year-old daughter is saying my lines in the game. It was just bonkers. That blew my mind.
My moment came before time began. Very, very long time ago. It was about 18 years ago. And I had booked a session. I was very blessed in the fact that I booked one of my favorite franchises within the first 2 months of doing voiceover professionally. And they kind of deflated the news a lot when they led with, "You booked the Transformers commercial." And I'm like, what? Because I love Transformers, as I mentioned earlier. And then like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's Star Wars." I'm like, oh. I should have been like, "Star Wars," but no, you led with Transformers. So I get into the session, and it was like, I think it was they had brought me back for a second thing. It was surreal, because I got to be the voices of some toys and work for Star Wars, 2 big bucket list items for any voice actor. And the second session I came in, there was a Monday morning. It was really early to do voiceover. 8 a.m. That's a rough session to do. And I was filling to Captain Rex. "All cannons fire on those tanks." And I get in there, and I hear the director over the phone when they connect. He's like, "Oh, okay, what do we got here?" He's like, "Oh, it's John Bailey. You're my favorite voice actor to work." As the first time anybody had said the words, you're a voice actor. They called me a voice actor. And not only guys I was my favorite voice actor to work with. He's like, I was stressed out because it was Monday and you're my first session. He's like, I automatically knew this was going to be an easy, fun day to do this. And that just like, I almost didn't know how to talk. Like I couldn't even say that. And then the second half of that story came when the toy finally came out like 4 years later. And my mom called. She'd been telling me like, "Are you gonna get a real job, honey?" Like that. That was the kind of support I had in my own family. Or you should leave this to more talented people like your brother. They all kind of sound like Ryan Reynolds when they make fun of them. She called me up like frantically freaking out like, "Are you the voice in a Star Wars story?" I'm like, "Mom, I told you this like 4 years ago." But it doesn't come out. You never know when they're gonna come out. And so she said, she's like, "I bought one at Target." And I went around the Target going, "My son's a toy, my son's a toy." I'm like, "Oh, lock you up with these things." But it was like that moment of like, crap, I'm a freaking toy. I'm in Star Wars. And the guy in the session, he's like, "George Lucas personally approves the voices for the toys, the American toys." So I was like, crap, George Lucas approved me as Captain. And it's Anakin. I got to do a voice for Anakin in a couple of toys too, which is just insane.
You need a t-shirt that says Lucas approved.
I've had people that I do voice matches for where the actors themselves have come in and said, "Man, he does me better than I do." I'm just happy to fill in when they can't and won't. That's it. I am just stealing nobody's job.
All of you, this whole cast is very talented. We've got a bunch of talented actors. We're going to get to the fan questions, but let's have a round of applause first for this first one. All right, get your hands up. Who have we got first? I'm going to go over here. Hello. Oh, I love your bag. I like to compliment people when I come up and say hi. "Oh, my love, what's your name and what's your question?"
Hi, so I go by as Aesthetic Hiki online. I'm a streamer. My question is, what kind of character would you like to see next in Marvel Rivals?
That's an easy one for me. It's Deadpool. 1000%. Even if I don't get to do the voice for it, because, I mean, let's be logical, it's probably going to be Nolan North because he's been video game Deadpool before. I just love Deadpool. It'd just be a lot of fun to play as Deadpool, and they already have the Deadpool Wolverine skin for Wolverine, so I'm like, I can't wait to just do, because I love you.
I would love to get the opportunity to voice Ghost Rider. I think that would be really cool. So if he ever comes in and they're listening, they're always listening.
I would totally take Joe's job of being the Bruce Banner. I would be the Nick Cage human version. Like, whoa, it feels like my skull's on fire. You could be like the Ghost Rider voice.
That's the beautiful thing about this. There's an unending ocean of characters to bring in, and whether or not I got to voice them, I grew up on DP7, which was a different sort of version of X-Men. That was the one that like my friend had, and I read them, and so I mean, I would love to see some of those characters, and but there's just. I'm such a fan of so many of them. You could say any one of them, and you'd be like, yeah, that should be the next one.
I think there's 80,000 Marvel characters.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. You can Google it.
I didn't know it was in the tens of thousands.
Maybe they need to bump it up from every month to every second. But I think that what I would like to see from the game is, I know that they have to create a structure for gameplay, and the way that you release it affects everything. And I would like to see some unsung characters. I love that they added Jeff. I love that they added Luna Snow. I think that we need to get characters that maybe aren't so prevalent, that open up doors, like you kind of alluded to this, to a community that hasn't had that role model before, and pull them into the thing and be like, we are all part of this. So I don't know what character.
Quick shout out to my girlfriend. She's a favorite character, Typhoid Mary.
That's right.
Which
Typhoid
is
Mary.
some Latina representation of the cool hair. And she's got so many different versions of skins, and a lot of these characters have been different versions too. It makes perfect ideas for extra skins.
Yes. There's 80,000 out there.
Apparently, it's 80,000 though.
James or Alpha, do you want to add?
Dr. Voodoo, Brother Voodoo,
Yeah, that's a good one.
Blade.
Yeah.
Yes, Blade.
I'm trying to bring all the brothers. All the brothers. Thank you.
Blade's a no-brainer, man. I'd love to see Blade.
I'm gonna go with a really major selection of Rogue. And this is because I have had the honor, we got to see Lenore in person. Like, she is she's the original voice in the 97 X-Men, and it's the revival of the 97 X-Men at Disney right now. And she's such a wonderful person. Like, her voice is exactly who she is. And she's still voicing the character, so it's an easy phone call to get her on to, like, voice Rogue for Marvel Rivals. And that's my selection.
Aw, thank you for your question. Hands up, who's got a question? Hello, love it when it's very close to me. No steps needed. Hello, my friend, love your hoodie. What is your name? What's your question?
My name is Brandon. I go by Black Yoka. As an aspiring voice actor, where do you even start? Where did you guys get your start at? Because I'm aspiring to be a voice actor one day, but that's my question.
Before time began.
If it's okay, I'll start off. I'm putting out courses of 20 years worth of experience, and the girlfriend I mentioned earlier taught me about scaling, and I was like, I'm just gonna write down everything I have freaking learned, most of it the hard way, to find out how it works. And it took me 40 courses breaking it all down. And I was like, well, that way it's like Liberty Mutual. You can only pay for what you need. But I would say the best place to start, absolutely free. First thing I coach about anything, iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. No spaces, no nothing. It's as easy as it sounds. It's made by the legendary D. Bradley Bacon, who's also the original voice of Captain Rex. And Perry the Platypus. He is the creature king of, the male voice of every little sound in Star Wars and, everything. So he got this question a lot. And now all of us can just say, hey, go to his website. But it doesn't teach you what to do. It just explains everything there is to know. And then how you take that information and apply it, that's kind of like what I teach and other good coaches can teach. But that's the best place to start for free.
I would say if you do want to make a career out of it, I would start with acting classes because you can do cool voices and have a great voice, but if you can't build a character, it's not going to get you anywhere. So I would say take improv classes. That's phenomenal to start off with. Great. I mean, if you could do any local theater, anything that you can start getting your hands on acting-wise, because I think, voice actor, we are actors. We use our voice because we don't get to have a look to convey something. We have to use our voice. But you need to know how to convey that look first. So take any sort of acting classes. Take a commercial acting class. Take, something that you can get your hands on, and then start moving into voice if voice acting is the route you want to take.
Yeah, specifically if you want to do voice acting, they do a lot of voice acting specific stuff, improv included online, and not necessarily be in person.
Yeah, that's my recommendation. Work on the acting first, then the voice stuff.
Anyone else want to add to that?
Yeah, I actually have something to add to that. First of all, my guy with the sweatshirt. I admire that sweatshirt. You're lucky you made it away from the booth with that on. By extension of what Daniel was saying, we've obviously had this conversation together. And I felt compelled to relay this. Find your voice. There's a lot of voice acting. I can do this voice. I can do that voice. There's some of that, but that work is seldom.
I can sound like Stitch. How many times I hear that one?
This guy is one of the guys who can sound like everybody. And he's got that rich cover. Find who you are. And who you are is enough. You'll hear this again and again and again. Because as an actor, you will come up against adversity again and again and again. And knowing who you are and why you want to be an actor, a storyteller, a communicator, will constantly be the fuel that gets you from A to B to C to D and on and on. And you have to know who you are. You have to know why it is you do this. Because every time you come up against hardship, and it will happen, as artists, it's a hard road. You have to know who you are. Why do I want to do this? What is my voice? What is my contribution? That is your core. That is your nucleus. If you have that, it will always be your guiding light.
Yeah, your uniqueness is what's going to get you work. Because if they knew what they wanted, they wouldn't hold auditions. They would just cast that voice that they're looking for. So, being you and you, like Elias saying, that's what's going to get you the career.
If I could ask James real quick, because you know better than anybody up here, and probably you and you, that it's even harder if you're not a white male. And only until 2025, it's still freaking hard if you're not. Do you mind touching on that a little bit? Because speaking of adversity and trying to book a job, that's tough. It's only tougher for you.
Yeah, there are challenges being a black man. Black men sound like black men, right? And oftentimes it's difficult to remove the color barrier from the person who is receiving the art. You might think it's easier because it's voiceover and the person can't see you, but it's really not. So in addition to recognizing who you are, I would say get in touch with your strengths and more importantly, your weaknesses, right? You need to know who you are. You need to know what your voice can and can't do. And I place paramount importance again on acting, right? That's what a lot of times can separate those who do from those who are still trying to do, right?
It's even the opportunities, like when we get an audition for a game and they send us the casting list and you're looking at like, pick which characters you're right for, and 20 characters, and there's 2 that are
20 of them will be white or neutral presenting.
And even when they're aliens or creatures and they still
Even
we're
when
looking for
they're
a white
aliens
male.
or creatures.
Are you kidding me?
There will still be subtle language that lets you know what sort of sound they're looking for, right? And so we have to be mindful of those things. You got to have your Swiss Army knife, so to speak, of your vocal range, right? Every black man's got a white guy voice, right? You got to have that. It's no shame. It's not a knock. You gotta have it,
She can
right?
win.
You gotta
She can
have
win.
something
She made a good career.
that's neutral, right? You can't tell where Oprah's from. She just made all of America sound like she's from exactly where they live. You gotta find that in yourself.
Thank you very much for that question. And we have time for one more. Oh no! Oh no! There's 3. Oh, should we do a speed
Lightning round?
Should we do a speed round?
Yeah, speed round.
Speed round.
We can answer one each, one of them.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so let's go. You first. What's your name and question?
My name is Kevin, and my question is, how many takes did you guys need to get those bolts right?
Who wants to answer that one?
I'll answer 3.
Okay.
There was not a lot. I mean, it takes a lot of gas to produce those. So it's also like if you want my voice for the rest of these, 3. Just like a Tootsie Pop. 3.
I'm a 3 guy. I just always do 3. So yeah, it's 3 for me.
Okay, we've got another one. Hello. You want to ask? Sure. All right. Please tell us something.
Hi, my name's Selena, and I was wondering if your character could be in any Shakespeare play, which one would you like them to be?
I want to answer. Go for it.
Who wants to say first?
I already spoke. I'll go over here.
I would be in Sharkspere, I guess.
Oh.
You're welcome, Dad.
Go on, drop your mic. Go ahead, drop it.
Dad Joker.
Othello is the obvious one, but I love Othello.
Okay. Well, while I'm walking, you can keep
I
answering.
just have to stick this one in because I almost said to my guy, but I cut it short. It would be Hamlet, because you must be true to thine self. To thine own self be true. Know thyself.
Okay, I've got one last one because we're running out of time. Hello, my love. What's your name and what's your question?
My name is Alex, and I'm a Doctor Strange main. And my question is, what was the process like with the dialogue for your ultimate lines? Did you have any input, or what was the process of like for coming up with those?
Mine was super short. It was very straightforward. You eat everybody. That was pretty much all they wrote. And
I'd like to hear divorce.
Yeah. Oh, come on. So every lane on the 101.
I had to give some input because mine's Japanese line. The first time we went into recording, it was written in Japanese, but we're like, I think we can make some improvements. So when I came in for the second recording, like, you know, before the second recording, I sent a bunch of suggestions for the lines, and then I think the process was that they'd scan it, they'd also go through Marvel Rivals, and then up to Disney. Like that is how high it has to go up to get it approved. So there was a couple of processes, and I got to do a couple different takes.
Guys, can we have a round of applause for the fan questions, please? And for the gentleman who was asking about voice acting, good luck on your journey. The guy with the incredible hoodie, he's looking.
Not paying attention.
Hello, hoodie man. Good luck on your voiceover journey. Hoodie man. Guys, it's been absolutely wonderful meeting you this weekend, talking to you and doing great.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Guys,
Might we shout ourselves out and where to find us all before
absolutely right. Promo yourselves. Let's go.
Oh, where?
Start on that end. Just shout yourselves your social
Where can we
whatever.
find your flowers and dogs on Instagram?
Alpha Takahashi. I think it's Alpha.
Yeah, just start on this end. Epic voice guy. Very easy.
There's a lot of pink on there.
James Mathis, Roman numeral 3, James Mathis III, at all of the socials.
Mine is Eli Mountjoy, all across the board.
I'm Danger Marin, all across the board. And also, if you do play the game, Eli and I do stream, and we play with viewers all the time. So if you guys want to come in, like we mentioned, it's like positive vibes only. We try to just have a good time, no toxicity, and we just want to have a good time. So come on by, let us know you were here.
And shout out to my bro Josh Keaton, who also streams Iron Man out there, and Jordan, they also streams. Epic voice guy, really easy. I got a lot of new stuff coming out, so make sure to keep it an ear out. October, new Disney Plus animated series I'm really excited about called The Doomies. I'm the main cast of it. That's all I can tell you about right now. That's all the information I can tell. The Rivals thing is freaking great. Oh, and Marvel Rivals Ignite. You guys, good luck out there with trying to win $3 million. Good luck. That's what you guys should get on the esports thing.
I hope to have you on my Twitch talk show at some point.
Yes,
Would love to.
It's very strange. That's all I'm going to
As
say.
long as I can do it from the socially less awkward safety of my tiny box.
Guys, you are Wonderful. Please slap those hands again. Oh my God, Alpha. Alpha, let's have a bigger round of applause for Alpha. Thank you, guys. You're amazing. Let's go to the stairs.
Want to do the ult to the camera?
Oh, yeah.
Can you zoom out? I'll tell you when I'm framed. Okay.
I'll be in touch.
Ready whenever you are.
Armed and dangerous! Again!
Thank you.